place to live in, not because of the evil people that are in there, but rather those who live there and they don't do anything about the evil things that are done by people. It's the reason we always come here, look into the camera, and then we deliberate on matters pertaining our country. Good morning, Uganda. Today happens to be the 30th day of July, meaning we are left with only one day to cross into another month, and that is August. 2022 is still there, and the day is a Saturday. And that's why we are here, to fulfill the agreement we made with you, that every single Saturday shall always be here, by God's grace, to discuss matters affecting our country. My name is Edirisa Muwonge. It was an interesting week because we saw Norbert Mao, the President General of the DP, take his oath as the newly appointed Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Who really knew that this would happen, considering the fire Mao has been spitting, at those who have joined President Museveni to work with him. But time flies very fast and doesn't fly alone. It also flies and changes events. Now, Mao, as I speak, is the minister. Yesterday I was saying this and I want to repeat this. Mao, not so long ago, he was saying that political parties, especially the NUP, is illegal. It doesn't exist illegally. In fact, he asked the Electoral Commission to consider scrapping it off the register of political parties. Now, he happens to head a ministry under which the Electoral Commission falls. Should we say that now it's time up for the NUP? What should we say? What should we think? Also, Mao, remember, he was embroiled in a verbal exchange with the NUP not so long ago. They were exchanging bitterly. I don't know how the war ended, but all of a sudden, he stopped, he ceased fire. Now, that kind of bitterness that he was expressing, about the NUP, is he going to carry that bitterness? If that is the case, still, this leaves me wondering what is the fate of the NUP. Now, away from Mao and his drama, President Museveni once again addressed the nation. That was on Wednesday. He came out this time round. He spent so much time talking about coffee. He did last week, and now even this week, he came tell us how much money. He even brought experts to explain to us how much we lose when we just export, unprocessed coffee. And then he was justifying himself, his ideas, as always, shared with us about coffee. And I'm pretty sure he was referring the agreement that controversial agreement he had signed with, rather, the Ministry of Finance had signed with Ewan Pineti. Most Ugandans felt this was a bad deal, but the president is still convinced that this was actually a good deal. And whatever he's saying now, or he's doing about coffee, we have a feeling that he's trying to justify, that deal. The president went on, talked about a wide range of things, even, talked about alternative measures we can put in place, or we can have to avoid, to curtail the problems that we are facing as a result of the economy that is becoming very tight. Well, my panelists are already here. That is Otim Levi. He represents the government on this particular show. He's also a human rights activist and he's a political analyst. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother Edirisa. Good morning to the viewers. I'm much delighted to be here today to deliberate on important issues.
Great. Yes. Dr. Rogers Bergayomwe, he's an educationist, he's a political analyst as well as a leader of a political party, the Labour Party. Still less known, according to most people. You really have a lot to do. Every person I bring here, they tell you that I've just learned about this party from here. So I don't know, is there anything you're doing so far to popularize your party?
Much obliged, Edirisa. Good afternoon, our viewers.
Morning to you.
It's still a morning.
It is.
Oh, good morning, our viewers. And true, the conditions are going to make everyone understand what the need of Labour Party is. The conditions which make a head of state after 1 week to come back and address nation are real, and they are going to reach every household, and every household will know the need of Labour Party. God purposed it for such a time, and you know, parties are not about advertising, they're about ideology. Okay. Our ideology is the most relevant in this period, and we are well prepared. You know, I told people that
should look at Wetumu's face.
When you're going to build a 10-floor building,
the doctors, you said that you should look at Wetumu's face.
Yes, you should first go down. Like people didn't know us.
Okay.
People didn't know we are getting doctorates, 2 of them. Yeah? But we first go down and be a farm. Then when we begin going up,
you first establish a farm ground.
Exactly, a farm ground, because
you
have to be
come
stable.
out.
By the time you see a 10th floor, when you are on your 2th floor, you know, I tease the people that if even these NOP has put up a structure, but after 40 years, if you even don't have a party headquarters.
Oh, they don't have party headquarters?
Yeah?
They have a party headquarters. You mean NUP?
No, the ruling government.
NRM.
It does not have even 1 floor to its name.
By the way, speaking of that,
to beg for, I mean, to correct my land friend, we have quite a number of party offices. We have.
No, those are rented.
No.
Yes. It's true.
No, listen, the government.
They are rented.
Government leased it for 70 billion.
So now that Dr. Rogers raised the issue of headquarters, I think it was in 2013 when the NRM launched that program to solicit money from its supporters to establish headquarters. It's now more than 10, close to 10 years down the road, and so far, where have you reached? I think that even program was spearheaded by this man, Katongole.
And Mama Babas. But you see, I think to touch on that matter, we as the NRM party has been embarking on a lot of initiatives, and having a party headquarters is, I think, one of the initial plans that it is on, because it's a long time process. It's not something that is short, and a doctor here has to know that you can easily say you can have a building, but you don't have the structures.
But Edirisa, do you know that
but there's
MPs have buildings here in more than what they would be their headquarters.
Exactly.
More than 100.
Building a party headquarter. It is I think going to be one of the tallest buildings here. The artistic plans, and they are still there. Yes, not when you're in government, but before you.
27-story building.
Before we sign
of guns.
But I think that is before we sign the cooperation deal, you know, between the Labour Party and the NRM.
Yeah,
so
okay,
I don't think there's any difference with whatever that we are capable of doing at the moment. We have quite a number of offices in a plot.
And you're not paying rent, by the way. Many times you've seen people come up that
it's on lease. It's on lease. It's
a landlord
who
moved to close your offices. I don't know in which district. I'm not sure, but a landlord moved and said you guys had areas like I don't know how many months, and so he had to move in to close the offices, district offices. This was embarrassing to the government.
But I think it was corrected later on. You know, also the initiatives of trying to.
But the damage wasn't corrected.
Pass the money. But of course, you see, in anywhere there are always the shortfalls. But how you overcome the shortfalls.
Okay.
So for us to embark on a party headquarters, of course, we also have to focus on all the districts in Uganda. Yes. So it's
all right, gentlemen, let's now go to the president's speech. Once again, he addressed the nation. Last week he did, and even this very week, came out and talked about a wide range of things. Some of them, according to some Ugandans, they said were unnecessary because he's not addressing the real issues that are biting Ugandans. He just comes to talk about things which people consider they are trivial. He's not, touching those real issues that are biting. Dr. Rogers, your perspective into the president's address to the nation on Wednesday this very week.
Yeah, it's dangerous that his handlers should have, first of all, told him to hold on a bit, because it was after 1 week of addressing the nation. So if he had come up with issues like you raised, Edirisa, here, and we discuss here, like of Karamoja, if he had come up to say, oh my God, I missed the Karamoja issue, and this time I had to, because that was the hottest and issue, which would expect him to have now put so much emphasis on. But unfortunately, he came to readdress the nation, and he did not put emphasis on such issues. And the other issue also, which disappointed me, right now I'm just in my car, just come with a child I picked from school, whereby he's from Zambia. These are schools in Kampala. Right now they're sending us back our children because they don't have food. And the issues we are talking about, subsidies. Yeah? We are telling government that households are feeling. Instead, they came up with a
You're saying they're cutting the term short?
Yes, most of the schools now have sent our children back to home because they don't have food. Yeah? And now you're telling us about middle income. Yet, Ugandans are suffering. Yeah? If a man like me now, my child cannot continue with school. You get it? And many now what is an average Ugandan facing? And now the picture which was coming out is we are middle income. So these other things are the ones the Ugandans wanted to hear from the president. Like, what are you doing? Let's say, and in COVID, I give him credit, he ably showed for every sector. So now, in this crisis, what is government doing for the schools, for example? If I predict, and I will tell you that next month, fuel is going to reach 8,000. Because we are going to have
next month is just one day away.
Yeah. Because we are going to have a poll in Kenya. It's likely to disrupt the fuel prices. So as the president would be saying, this is what I'm going to do in case of fuel. So fuel has caused a stampede in our economy. And what is dear to most of the households, and I've told you, is schools. There will be no more school. Yeah, that's what
What did you say?
There will be no more school for many kids, Ugandan kids.
When?
Because
when are we going to have students stopping to go to school? And
the parents won't be able to afford to take them back. If government, I'm telling you, some of these are government-aided schools. If government has released the schools...
Don't a prophet of doom?
No, I'm projecting. I'm an economist, and I'm telling you, after COVID, what you don't know that, and I teach in a university, the rate of continuing students dropped drastically. That was after COVID. Mm-hmm. But then this one is even worse than COVID.
Because you're saying that a situation is coming very soon when Ugandans won't afford to send their kids to school?
It is not coming. It is unto us. The situation has come. Next term, many parents will not be able to take their children back to school.
I think
you can get me on that.
I think to chip in on what Doctor is trying to put across is the hiking in the prices of commodities, of course, affecting majority of the schools.
But is
this program, I think this very crisis began from the western part of Uganda, from Kasese, one of the schools, closing, I think, some 3 weeks ago because of a crisis. But of course, you see, it is something that is affecting.
Maybe will you stop the program? I bring my child and you see him from
that
school?
I know.
No, we know of in Zambia. We know of the schools that have closed. But of course, majority of the schools are closing first week.
But I've not seen any
first week
school
of August
that has come out on record and said, okay, we are cutting the term short because we can't afford to feed your children. I've not heard that.
Zambia said
I have the
they said that.
Zambia said it. So
I have even. I think I have.
I'm not doubting it. I am not doubting. Okay.
All right, but I think when
I've talked to the school officials, they've said we can no longer afford food prices. We don't have enough food in our stores. We've closed the school.
I think the school dues.
Everything for every student, even those who cleared. Every student, the
school.
You are an investigative journalist. Is closing. Go and put your cameras. You will see.
Now, I know so many schools that have.
And it is one.
I didn't know.
Apart.
I didn't know that the reason why they are cutting the term short. I don't know that they are cutting the term short. Actually, I thought that they are done with the term's programs.
No.
And so they are choosing.
The term was supposed to go like a month.
No, they are closing first week of August. And of course, for other schools, for private schools, closed before the government.
It's a UPE.
UPE.
Yes.
The government.
That's a government school.
They've even said the reports you pick them on 11th. That means the school is supposed to operate beyond, like around 11th there, August. That's where the Ministry of Education has its calendar. It's not now. They are not supposed to get out.
Here we are talking about a public school.
A public school.
Which cannot afford to feed school children.
Yes.
For the entire time. They are cutting the term short.
Yes.
Here I talk about government, by the way.
Yes.
Mr. Tim, how did we reach to this stage?
Yeah, you
because
see,
we're talking about, if it was private school, then I wouldn't be surprised. But we're talking about a government school. This means that probably there are other very many government programs that will be, are stalled because the government cannot afford. Even last week, actually, I was reading about a story in the Daily Monitor, which was run about embassy buildings in different countries. They brought a building in USA, our embassy in USA. Then there was also an embassy in Malaysia. And then these buildings, they are dilapidated. They can't be, repaired due to the effects of, the cuts that were made, the financial cuts that were made by the Ministry of Finance. These are the results. So now when it talks about a government school closing, cutting the term short because they cannot afford to feed the school children, I mean, the situation is getting out of hand. Is that true?
Yeah, we being quite a 50-50, we witnessed issues that are quite alarming. And of course, the signals outside there indicate that if the matter is not attended to, then we can easily be subjected to, total, drought, a period where the country is heading to a level where we have to feed. And failure to do so, I want to believe we're going to really end up, in a drastic state. But I think for the matter of schools trying to close earlier, in response to my brother here, Doctor, it is quite unfortunate that it's happening at a time where we need the learners to be at school, and then to be in a state where they have to to continue gaining this information, or in the process of learning, because down in the previously 2 years the education sector has been heavily affected. So I expected that government should have diverse strategies or means in which we're trying to limit on a few of these crises. But then when you have to look at what has been happening, of course, we can't leave out the fact that we have also been having the teachers themselves on the strike, and then also demanding for increase in salaries. Of course, that's administrative expenditures or budget.
In fact, that was in public schools. There were teachers in public schools are the ones who had staged a strike.
Yes.
Yeah, staged a strike.
That was a strike that lasted for close to 3 weeks. Now the term has been cut short.
The term has been cut short, so we are affected.
Let's first get this clearly. The term has been cut short by 2 weeks. Teachers staged the strike. They lasted for 3 weeks.
Yes.
In total, those are 5 weeks. Normally, a term is supposed to run for 12 to 13 weeks. That's how it's supposed to be, 12 to 13. So now, 5 minus 12.
7.
Kids have been at school for only 7 weeks.
I
doubt if they have exhausted the curriculum. That is the teaching.
And then you see,
I was here and with an expert, the Fragile Monday, and I told him most of us who are teaching across board from universities from nursery to universities, we are not teaching half the curriculum.
Okay. Why? You don't have an upper time?
No, because of all these issues I'm talking about.
One,
the issues of payment of the facilitators, issues of the facilities being at the institutions, and issues of food like logistics. So, and I told you that the educational level is at its lowest from independence. Remember, I was telling you this. And it is getting even worse. And I've just added you another statement that even after next term, many of these student parents who even subsidize, because the president talks of complete free UPE. I haven't seen it anywhere.
Which is not
at least
realistic.
in Kampala.
Which is not attainable.
So
it's not realistic.
It is economics that if...
Allow me to say this, because I've had the president, being so hard on head teachers of public schools. And he says that these people shouldn't be charging a single coin from the learners. But it's practically impossible.
But no, you see, it is impossible because how are you going to...
Exactly. When the president is speaking, it's like it's not a way of thinking.
Now, like in Zambia, is equally, I think, a public and it's a public school.
It's UPE.
UPE.
Now that you have a child,
And,
do you mind sharing with us how much they pay? Because the president always says...
First of all, I counted in a dormitory which is like this. I've just counted now. 200 children.
We have talked about the school fees.
The school fees. The school fees is about 500 for the boarders.
That's a UPE
500.
school.
Yeah, it's a UPE school.
Okay.
500,000. How many Ugandans can afford 500,000? You get it for UPE. And right now that they have real issues, they want to survive to live on. A household which does not have food will take a child 500. Okay, the day scholars could be about 200. Yeah? And will they afford that 200 when they cannot eat? So it is likely that these people are going to even turn these students into child slave, like labor, because that's what we're talking about, Karamajong. Now because the family has to survive, they will get these children who are not attending school or who should be attending, so they take them to start bring in some income, like was in COVID. Some will even send them. You are very soon going to see not only Karamajong kids, but even the Baganda, Banyankoli, and other tribes are going to join them.
Children from
on the
other
street.
tribes.
No, I think what we should be looking at is short and long-term goals. And for this very specific period, we are hit. I want to believe that we are hit, and everywhere people are feeling the pinch of how the economy is driving. But on issues of food and then fluctuation in prices, we have always seen this happen. I think you remember even after the 2016 elections, the prices in commodities is rose. Even after 2011, the prices rose. But after things normalized and everything was back to normal. So, of course, you see, for schools run on high budgets. Any private, bid, public institutions run on private budgets. Now, if they cannot have their own means of producing food, they are forced to buy. And then you also know that every opening of the term, there's always that scramble for requirements to be delivered with the children when they're reporting back to school. So always these things cause the prices to either go and drop down. But for this specific matter, I don't believe the government is already seeing what is happening, and the technical team within the Ministry of Education itself has to come and then account to the people.
What is it doing about it? Because
this is what I expected, Edirisa, from the president's speech and from his very good speeches of COVID. But now the schools are no longer, because for him, as his intelligence, he would have already dictated that many of these things are going to happen. He would come to the TV and say, now the schools are going to be hit. First of all, we are not changing the prices, like he says, no subsidies. But the schools are going to be affected. Dear Ugandans, like he did in COVID, who are willing to help government, which is broke now, because now we've understood that government is also broke. How many are willing to start subsidizing so that we send money to these public schools? I would give my first million. I'm daring the president. When my Edirisa, I will give 1 million shilling to that cause, because our children have to stay in school. They suffered in COVID. Ugandan children that you know, school period, COVID were 2 years. Now they are likely to be affected another year. It is never repaired if you lose this kind of education. There are things which you cannot redeem. So let the president come up like
But
usually and we donate.
Not all the kids who are away from school for that long period. Actually, for private schools, especially international schools,
Most of them were on e-learning.
Not e-learning.
E-learning
Others were
platforms.
going there,
But how many?
physically.
You know, I'm the expert of e-learning in this.
Others were going there physically. So whereas most kids, especially those ones who got private, rather public schools, were kept at home for that long period. But those ones in international schools, they're actually having their.
But are we discussing international school
I know.
now?
But
Because
that's
see,
good
when
enough
they-
for me, I have the two payers. If you wanted me, I would have discussed. But I have some who go in an international school.
Why I said that, I wanted us to talk about this kind of unfairness because it was unfair.
Yes, that's why I'm saying most of the 99%, the ones of international school are 1%. And they are the ones of our leaders, the children of our leaders. So that's why for them, they don't know about these things. They don't know that actually some students have missed the 3 weeks and now 2. They are not sensitive to that because their children indeed go to those international schools.
So going back to the president's speech, you didn't feel that he addressed these issues?
What did he address on this issue? This right now I've told you this, and it is not only one school, like one I've told you in Zambia is on record right now, but this week you're going to see several of them. And this is what I expected the president. If the government is broke, the public would have come in, because there are many people in Uganda, or even we got donations for Karamoja outside. If they knew Uganda is in such an educational crisis, many people are willing to come and donate to this
But doctor, do you
Don't
know?
you think you exaggerated it?
No, do you? No,
Education
I want
crisis.
to pass this to doctor. Do you know that the schools are closing the first week of August? Most of the schools.
And there's always a timeline.
Which is just next Friday.
No,
Next week on Friday.
let me tell you, like this one of this school I know of, we're supposed to close 11. Edirisa.
Or 12th.
I'm an educationist. I'm not talking of theory. That even 2 weeks of learning. Remember, there were other 3 weeks which they lost. Mean nothing. Mean a lot.
Okay.
So that is, if you are saying there is no impact, it's up to you. But for me, I know as a person who makes a curriculum, who designs, who gives deliverables, that 2 weeks of missing school, and remember they had been affected by the other 3 weeks in public schools, they are missing a lot. And yet I've also projected that because of the crises in homesteads, other parents won't be able to take their children back.
Okay, let's take a very quick break. We'll be right back. The dialogue still continues after break. Do not go away. Come on.
Ever wondered where to have your events, host your guests, yet in the city center and can easily be accessed? At Turban Center, we have a conference and events center. We help you to host a variety of events. We have the main hall of 700 seaters, medium room of 150 seaters, boardroom for your outdoor meetings and open space for your designed event. We host the following: wedding meetings and wedding parties, project launches, auditions and casting, fellowships, presentations, birthday parties, baby showers, conferences and seminars, product launches and many more. Expect the best without limitation with a free parking space in the basement of the building. For booking, come to Tobani Center Building on Ginger Road opposite DFCU Bank after former Nando's on 2nd floor. Conference and Event Center, the golden standard for your next executive event.
Customer waffe singa n'atugulako atugulako engoye 3 oba atupangisizaako engoye 3 nga zonna za mugole tulina olugoye lwe tumuwa lwe bayita oba photoshoot tumuwa luwe olwo tumuwa luwe photoshoot n'agenda nawe kuba ebifaananyi bye kati mulimu okubanga
alinawo okukyala awo
ne
mugaa nti katukuwe gomasi y'okukyala ndaba opangisiza oba oguze zino ezaaki
oguze ndaba opangisiza wano
neerondera gomasi
eyo
ofa ate nga yanjawulo nayo
waliyo ne ofa endala
kubanga ofa eri gye mbadde mmanyiiko yokka ey'omugole okumuwa gomasi 3 then ne bali ababuuza n'obawerako gomasi seti 3 ne metroni naye n'omuwa omukolo ne gunyuma
ne gutambula eyo ofa eyo eriwo yatandise kati mu June ofa eyo ebaddewo nga erina kubeerawo mu April ne May naye olw'okusaba bakasoma baffe ne batugana nedda omukolo gwange gwa Agasti omukolo gwange gwa October ne tugamba katujongezeeyo n'abalala abatafunye ku mukisa ogwo basobole okukola ki okugufunako.
Kulamusiza nnyo omukwano gwange amannya gange nze Apostle Frank Botayi okuva no ku Restoration Assembly Church Enakulabye. Bayibuli eyogera mu ngero 24 n'olunyiriri olwokusatu nti olw'amagezi ennyumba ezimbibwa era olw'okutegeera ennyumba enywezebwa. Songa ennaku z'omwezi 31 ye Sande eno njagala ojjo nneegatteko twambale amaanyi agagenda okuzimba ennyumba zaffe, agagenda okuzimba emirimu gyaffe, agagenda okuzimba famire zaffe, agagenda okuzimba obuweereza bwaffe. Saavisi eno egenda kubeera y'amaanyi nnyo, egenda kutandika essaawa 4 ez'emisana okutuuka ssaawa 8 ogw'emisana. Tugenda kusinza, tugenda kugoba emizimu, tugenda kwambala amafuta. Omwaka 2022-2023 ogw'ebyensimbi tugenda kusituka okuva wansi nga tugendera ddala waggulu. Njagala kusaba oneegatteko, tugenda kuva mu bottom up in Jesus name. Kulamusiza